Banded together, a stitch in time is gonna save nine. A stitch in time is gonna save nine. And I wanna be a catalyst for change, trying something different. I wanna change the rules of the game, 'cause even the smallest bird can fly up to the top of the tree. And I wanna be a catalyst and find out what could be.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon.
Dreaming together. Some say hope is a thing with feathers. We're gonna dream, dream, dream together. It sings a song, never stops at all. It sings a song, never stops at all. And I wanna be a catalyst for change, trying something different. I wanna change the rules of the game, 'cause even the smallest bird can fly up to the top of the tree. And I wanna be a catalyst and find out what could be. Walk, walk, walk along together.
I'm sorry. I hear it's partially gray.
The screen was, and maybe if you could, yes, open. the
Let's try
screen.
again.
Yes, please.
Oops. Let us check that. Wait.
Weave, weave, weave it together. Coming up short and giving up never. Weave, weave, weave it together. Come along, come along. Come along, come along.
So, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. We still have a few people that are joining, but while we wait, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Lida Minasyan. I'm part of the Catalyst family, because it's not only a team, it's a family. It's lovely to welcome you to this first session with people from all around the world. I'm already excited. We have Armenia, Nepal, the Netherlands, Argentina. This is exciting. And before we start with the panel that you've all come here to see, I'm going to share a video on Catalyst, and then I'm going to give the word to Lida and the amazing team.
Welcome to Catalyzing Change Week. This year's Catalyzing Change Week is about solutions from the front lines by social innovators.
In 2022, Catalyst 2030 concentrated its efforts on bringing proximate leaders and frontline solutions to the forefront. Collaborations led by members from the Global South produce groundbreaking reports on climate and transforming education, with an emphasis on offering local solutions. We continued our mission to create an enabling environment for social entrepreneurs to flourish by initiating a letter to donors, signed by more than 1,200 social entrepreneurs and innovators. The Catalyst 2030 awards ceremony was spectacular, and the awards themselves welcomed by the private sector, governments, bio multilaterals and donors.
Catalyst 2030 as a movement is disruptive.
One of the best things I think that's come out of Catalyst 2030 so far is incredible collaboration across the ecosystem that just didn't exist before Catalyst came into being.
The thing I love most about Catalyst is that it's an open movement for social entrepreneurs around the world.
I'd encourage anyone who's looking to be more connected with their local communities around social development goals to come along to Catalysing Change Week.
Welcome to Catalysing Change Week.
Huge welcome to Catalyzing Change Week. Thank you all for being here again. And I believe I saw Jason. There you are, also one of the stars of the video. Thank you for joining today. So this is the first day of Catalyzing Change Week. As Wedu was saying, it's solutions from the front lines. So I'm super glad to welcome all of you to this amazing discussion, to this amazing panel. I'm going to hand over to Lida from Wedu. Thank you for being here and organizing this session.
Thank you so much, Mary, and hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many new and familiar faces as well, and thanks for joining from different parts of the world. So welcome once again to the panel discussion, where we will reflect together on how mentorship as a tool can help to close the gender leadership gap. Before we start the panel discussion, I would like everyone to rename themselves if possible. Please add your name, country, and organization if you'd like to share as well, because the second half of this discussion is more interactive and we will have breakout rooms. It's just for people to get to know your name, where you're from, and like I said, the organization if you'd like to share. So my name is Lida Minasyan, and I'm a feminist activist from Armenia and also the Global Mentorship Manager at Wedu. We're a women's leadership organization working with women in Asia and envisioning a world where all women leaders thrive. So we believe that providing leadership opportunities and mentorship can help women unleash their full potential. So what is feminist mentorship? And I hear this a lot from our community and from others as well, how feminist mentorship is different from usual mentorship. So feminist mentoring recognizes that women face unique challenges and barriers in their personal and professional lives, also depending on their cultural and other contexts, of course. It also recognizes the systemic nature of these inequalities. So feminist mentorship seeks to address these challenges through a supportive and empowering relationship between mentor and mentee. And today we invited 4 amazing mentors and mentees to walk us through what feminist mentorship means to them and how it helps to build individual and collective power and learn from their experiences. So we will have 2 parts in this discussion. First one is the panel discussion engaging the 4 of our amazing speakers. And then the second half of this meeting, we'll have a unique opportunity to engage in peer mentoring experience. And that's in breakout rooms. So through the guiding questions that are crafted by our mentors and mentees, we will guide each other to reflect on our leadership journeys and to hear different perspectives from the group. All right, then now let me introduce and actually invite our speakers, Farishta, Laila, Rinalini, and Maya, to briefly introduce themselves. Please unmute yourself and mention your name, where you're from, where you're based, your professional background, and your engagement with Wedu. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lida. It's amazing to be here today. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening to everyone present in this panel discussion. I am Farishta Afzali from Afghanistan. I'm currently based in Cedar Falls, Iowa, in the United States, and I am a Globate Scholar pursuing my master's in education policies for global development. And I have been involved with Wedu as a mentee from 2014, and I'm a proud member of Wedu. Thank you, Lida.
Hello, everyone. So nice to see everyone's faces. Thank you so much for arranging it. My name is Laila. I'm involved with Wedu from 2020. At first, I was a mentee, and then also I am mentor as well as mentee because I always need the support from mentor. Currently I'm based in Germany. I am doing my second master's on sustainable development management under the scholarship. But I'm also professionally a development worker. I have always worked on the gender, migration, and youth agenda. So before this master's, I have worked there and also doing the same. Right now, I'm working as a research fellow in an organization working on gender and migration. And yeah, so excited to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mini Rinalini, as you can see, but you can call me Mini. I'm the regional director for We Connect International, which is a global nonprofit that works to put more money in the hands of women business owners by working with large corporations, governments, and multilaterals to buy more and invest more in women-owned businesses. I'm based in Singapore. I've known Wedu since 2017 when I was a participant in the Women's Leadership Academy and have been a mentor with Wedu since then.
Good evening, magandang gabi. Hi, I'm Maya Tamayo, a Wedu mentor. I am also the co-founder of Bayi Inc. Bayi, which is a Filipino word that means woman. It's a nonprofit based in the Philippines that envisions to build ecosystems of transformative feminist leaders at the subnational level, wherein we capacitate elected women leaders, civil servants, young women leaders, and indigenous women leaders on transformative feminist leadership. And crucial to this is the feminist mentoring also. So I've been with Wedu now for more than a year, very young in Wedu, and I'm also a gender consultant and a development worker, and I love spending time talking with feminist sisters, ideas over coffee and wine. Thank you.
Thank you all for the introductions. It was wonderful to hear from all of you, and I hope the participants will have a chance to get to know each other in the breakout rooms later. So let's unpack the topic, shall we? Let's start with the first question I'd like to ask our panelists. And what are the key principles of feminist mentoring and how they can be applied in various contexts and industries?
Thank you. I think I can start. I came to know about feminist approaches of mentorship when I was involved with Wedu. Feminist techniques are, I think, already built in like Wedu's mentorship program. If you know or if you don't know about the Wedu's 7 dimensions of leadership, then I will suggest to go through it. So there you can find that it is well designed so that it can support the women and kind of like strengthen and grow their leadership skills. And here I think the feminist mentorship works because both mentor and mentee actually shares the value of equality, and they both together actually work to reduce or to work against the discriminatory narratives. For example, when I was a mentee and I was struggling with so many personal struggles and I don't know how to move on. I already had the skills, but I don't know how to utilize. My mentor actually helped me there. And the same happened when I was working with my mentee. It's like she has the potential, she has all the things, only the discriminatory stereotypes are working there, and she needs some push-up so that she can go ahead and work in shine in her sector. So I think that how worked. And another thing is like here, both mentor and mentee actually empower each other. So it's something like there is more flexibility, shared space, and it was informal, but it was more powerful. So I think this type of things actually work in feminist key principles, and Wedu has like amazing mechanism on it.
Thank you so much, Laila. Yes, Minnie, I saw you unmuted yourself.
No, I was
so
just going to
please go
say,
ahead.
yeah, building upon what Laila said, I think feminist mentorship goes beyond just mentorship. So it's identifying what shared skills or what skills each of the person in the sort of relationship brings to the table and how they can empower the other. But it goes beyond mentorship to also championship and sponsorship, which is understanding the strengths of the other and what they need to succeed, and then identifying those opportunities and championing them to be a part of those, right? So, clearing that pathway, clearing those biases or whatever it is, getting them that foot in the door so that they can grow and scale the way they need to. So I think, and that again is built into Wedu's mentorship model, because it goes really beyond just mentoring somebody and giving them advice, which is a very top-down approach, to a more interactive, how do we champion each other kind of model.
Thank you, Minnie. So I'd like to add on to that. Also building on Minnie and Lila's thoughts and ideas. No, I think, well, we all know that leadership is really a lonely position, and we need people not only to support us, but also help us find the resources we need, but also to ground us. So in our work, for example, there is this really very comprehensive tool on feminist mentoring. It's by Creyas. You can look it up online. It's a useful resource for mentoring guide. Now, it has explained feminist mentoring comprehensively. We have to understand that feminist mentoring differs from the usual mentoring process. First, when we say there's feminist mentoring, mentees and mentors are one and united in a perspective that as leaders, we have experiences that shaped us into what we are now. Sometimes these experiences may be both traumatic, that can bring about triggers, or maybe positive that can actually be a source of resilience and strength. So all these experiences that we have, we bring this into our leadership journey that define our leadership values, principles, and driving force, or our what we call our politics and purpose. So with this key, I think with this context, the key is deep listening for me. Sometimes as mentors, we think we are experts and we know things. But in feminist mentoring, the first order of the day is to listen and understand the mentee's processes to the fullest. Wedu mentoring program stresses this. This is especially vital in mentoring programs like ours, where we come from different countries with diverse cultures, language barrier, etc. So in deep listening, we always open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts. We listen not only to what we said, but also to what is unspoken. Feminist mentoring does not only focus on responding to mentees' needs and changing oneself to become a leader. For me, the greatest contribution of feminist mentoring would be the idea that both mentors and mentees consented to come in the mentoring process together as part of their leadership journey, because they share the belief that the world needs to be changed, not only themselves. So that there are unequal power relations, forces, and structures that we need to be fixed. So it's not enough that we work on ourselves so that we become better, but it is we want also to work on the environment that we live in. No? So what is very important is we deconstruct all these power relations that are playing within our environment, and we work towards equality and towards the same vision. So in the same way, as in the guidebook in Korea, there is this feminist mentoring line that that has been with me for the longest time, that it's really everyone. I think that when we do feminist mentoring, we are also as invested, the mentors are as invested as the mentees, because we work towards the same goal, and that is actually fixing the power relations and addressing the inequalities.
Wow, thank you all so much, reflecting on the power relations and how mentorship is actually a mutual thing, right? So it's both mentors and mentees are learning from this experience and empowering each other and championing each other, as Minnie mentioned. And I love that. And I also love what you said, Maya, about listening, what is kind of beyond and unspoken as well, because mentorship is a lot about listening, understanding, and guiding the right direction. But also mentorship is a relationship between two individuals that they spend time together, online or offline. In Wedu's case, it's online. And that can come a lot, but that can bring a lot of kind of considerations, including ethical considerations. So Farishta, if you could briefly kind of go through what ethical considerations should mentors and mentees take into account in feminist mentoring relationships. What are your thoughts and experiences regarding this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lida, for asking that very important question, especially when it comes to ethical consideration in this relationship, because I believe that these considerations, some of these ethical considerations are intersectionality, confidentiality, care, and accountability in feminist mentorship relationships. Like we have to understand the multiple identities of mentees and how these intersect, and how, the recognition, I think, has to be there by the mentors. It should be taken into consideration that what have been the experiences of mentees, if they are coming from a marginalized community or a society, and what intersects within those experiences. And I think therefore, this holistic approach is required in order to respect and understand these experiences and complexities. And in regards to confidentiality, the mentors and mentees should feel safe. There should be this sense of safety and personal boundaries, particularly to the mentees, I believe, because mentee needs to feel safe to share their experiences, their learnings. And I think, especially for both mentors and mentees, it's important to communicate their expectations when it comes to confidentiality, and respect that personal space which is needed, because it will allow the mentee to be vulnerable, which will help her and the mentees to have the best out of this experience, and which also will help them to grow professionally and personally. And I think in regards to the care as an ethical consideration in this relationship, it's very crucial and important that mentors make sure that they provide care and support which is needed for the mentors. They empathize with them, even if they have a different experiences coming from a different background, like the mentors. It's important to understand the experiences and the backgrounds of the mentees, because their personal and professional journeys are different. Like each and every mentee that comes to this relationship, they have a different journey. Not all of them have the same goals or the same aspirations in life. I think that is important to be taken into consideration, and the relevant guidance and support in different ways has to be provided by the mentor, so that the mentee can achieve those goals and can get to those aspirations. And in regards to accountability, I think this is also one of the important factors in ethical consideration, because it's important for the mentor to understand the privilege and power that they will have in this relationship, and kind of take action for their activities or the decisions that they make, especially when it comes to this mentee-mentor relationship. I think being committed and being honest in this relationship will really help the mentor also to understand, like, what are the limitations, what are the biases that they may have, and meanwhile understand that, like, where the mentee comes from, like what are those experiences that intersect with each other. Especially for a mentee, like coming from a background like mine, where we have gone from decades so far, I feel like it's very crucial to understand those traumas for many years and decades that a mentee can go through, just experiencing migration and living as a refugee in different parts of the world. And taking those feedback from mentees to just bring development or amendments if necessary in that relationship. I think these all consideration will really help to support each other, build the trust, and also the mutual respect which is needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Farishta, for sharing this. And all of these thoughts and insights are based on your experiences with Wedu and outside of being a mentee, but also having a chance to being a mentor. So that's wonderful. And I hear a lot of discussion about power dynamics, right? Power relations, how we create this safe space or trusted environment where mentors and mentees do not feel any kind of power imbalances. They feel safe and to open up and share and feel heard as well, and receive the right guidance. And also the mentorship we're talking about that we call feminist mentorship, that reflects on all the experiences that women face and provides the guidance in true enabling and emboldening environment. We speak about building individual power. So I will invite Lila and Maya to reflect a bit more on how does feminist mentoring build individual power.
Thank you, Lida. Well, what I love about feminist mentoring technique or mechanism, that it acknowledges that the individual power is already there in any women. I mean, they already, it's not like that I'm teaching how to be a leader. It's already there, the power. We just, as a mentee, we just uplift that power. We just support. It's not even helping, it's just support, so that maybe mentees has one kind of leadership, not the other one. She just needs a little bit of push up on that to strain their skills. That happened with me when I was a mentee. Like if you go through the dimension of leadership, I'm always referring with this dimension of leadership. I have the commitment of my community. I have the strength to change it, but I didn't know that I have the inspirational skill. I can inspire my fellow women, my fellow men, everyone with my stories that I learned from my mentorship and my mentorship journey. And my mentor actually helped me to uplift that I used as well with my mentee, because she was so committed. And I'm from Bangladesh, and if you are familiar with the socialization process of South Asia, you can understand that how they kind of like socialize in a way where women are not much appreciated to talk or to, you know, have the opinion on the table with the strength or something. So they have the individual power, but how they can put their opinion in the table, just a little bit of guidance they need. That actually you can find in this feminist leadership, in this feminist mentoring technique. And another thing I really like that in the feminist mentorship mechanism, you will see that there is always the value of emotion and compassion. If you are familiar with the recent trend, like before the COVID time, we were not much giving the importance on compassionate leadership. We were not giving the importance on like emotional part of the leadership. We realized it when the COVID came and we were like inside the home and we wanted to strengthen our emotional intelligence. But you will find this technique in feminist mentorship technique, like how they value the emotional and compassionate part, and it actually, that's how we empower each other. What we are saying, that like both mentee and mentor empower each other because of that value. So yeah, that's from my part. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laila. I think I will agree with Laila. So one of the major, probably something that really we carry in other organization, and even in my mentoring with Wedu mentees, is that every person is the leader of their own journey, and that power is already within them. So when we talk about expressions of power, for example, in feminist leadership, we talk about power over, power to, power with, power within, and power under. The power within is I feel like the strongest power expressions of power, and collaborated with with another expression of power, with that's power with and power to. These are the things that I always put in mind when I have my mentorship sessions with both in Wedu and in my organization. So a mentor is there to support and provide an enabling environment, but with the idea that the mentee is already an expert of her own journey. So she defines her priority, she defines what to focus on, and they are able, and I also believe that they are able to locate their own solutions. So the mentor just bring in guidance and facilitate the discussion, so she will be able to locate her own solution. So there is also the value of autonomy in that, and that, you know, in every mentoring, the mentee have different identities that can be intersecting, and these are the source of her own expertise, which she brings in the mentoring process, which the mentors also learn from. And with previous mentees, for example, we given this idea that they are the experts in their own journey, I let my mentees define their goal, and then we work on that goal together. So like in my previous mentee, her goal was to get a scholarship, and all the rest, all the mentoring sessions that we have are actually towards that goal. Like we did mock interviews, we did research on how to get her scholarship in Australia, and with her steering the direction of our mentoring program, I just provided a space for her to think out her ideas, to think out how we feel, to share how she feels. And then she prepared for it. She prepared for our mock interviews. And then she was able to realize the goal. So with her own realization of the goal, and the mentees achieve something, me as mentor I'm also inspired to continue and actively do future mentoring programs in both my organization and Wedu. So I don't know, but there is a natural high in that when we find ourselves cheering for our mentees when they achieve something. And I think because it was done in a collaborative manner, that's also a collective power somehow for both the mentor and the mentee. So it may build individual power, but it is also a process of mutual learning and support, and eventually building a collective power. So again, we go back to the feminist mentoring goal, which is not only transforming oneself, but also with a higher goal to transform, communities, and through collective leadership and power.
Thank you both, Laila and Maya, reflecting on this. we saw some very specific and inspiring examples of individual power being built. And it's also great to hear how rewarding this experience is from the perspectives of both mentors and mentees. But also, let's not forget about the collective impact or building the collective power aspect of this process, because generally feminist mentoring, and particularly as part of Wedu, we don't aim only to build the individual power, because this is great, but this might sound a little sporadic. What we envision is how we can elevate all the voices and create more networking opportunities and create synergy in the learning process of our community and to build the collective power. So I would invite Mini and Farishta now to reflect on the collective power aspect and answer the question on how can feminist mentoring contribute to collective power and broader social and political movements aimed at advancing gender equality and social justice. Please.
Going back to what a lot of our panelists have said, it is about giving opportunities for both the mentor and mentee to have a voice, not just within their individual relationship, but beyond it. So taking the learnings, the development that happens within their respective, discussions beyond and taking it forward. So empowering others through the work that they do and taking those skills and then moving it on to enabling, just starting from what you learn in a mentor-mentee relationship. We all like to be white knights coming in and saving the world and saving our mentee, but that's not how a relationship works, right? It is about learning from each other and then taking those learnings and moving that forward to the next relationship that you have, learning from that and taking that forward, but also taking what you learn and how can you contribute towards enabling somebody else. And then moving that one step forward to opening doors, not just for your mentee, but for others who that mentee might impact and who you might impact, right? Based on what doors were opened for you by your mentee, how can you take that forward to others and open doors for them, and vice versa? When you open doors for your mentee, how are they taking that forward to then open doors for others? And I've seen some really great opportunities with one of my mentees who was in Bhutan, who also, so, as I mentioned, I work with women entrepreneurs. Her goal was to set up a collective of women entrepreneurs, a cooperative that could sort of empower women entrepreneurs. And so we worked together to do that. And she took a lot of the skills, the training that my organization provides. She came, she attended all of those, open doors for her to be a pro bono participant in a lot of that work. She took that and then trained other entrepreneurs within Bhutan, and then they then went on to start their own collectives, therefore taking that forward. So it's like a rolling stone. It's really cool for me. That I think that's a great example of how just one step can help somebody else, as long as you ensure that you are taking it forward and not just hoarding that information, because that's not the point of a feminist movement.
Expanding on what Mrinalini said, I hope I'm pronouncing your name accurately. I think, it's very important to have that collective power, because it will generate only if we women support each other in this journey of growth, empowerment, and gender equality. For so long, women have been discriminated against because of various reasons. And I think we can create that power by supporting each other and standing in solidarity with women across the globe. Women facing prejudice, violence, discrimination in one part of the world does not only remain in that region. We have to understand it needs to be addressed by the people, and also people's mentality that has to be changed when it comes to women and their capabilities. And I think it's mainly us, the women, who can do this by working together. And mentors can provide guidance to the mentees on how they can challenge the power structure and take actions to address those. They can encourage mentees to take leadership roles and stand against oppression and repressive governments. I think mentors can help mentees to providing guidance to identify those opportunities which will help them for collective action and also help bringing in these feminist activists together. And when there is a collective force, there's a community of feminist leaders, exchange of knowledge and skills, and it challenges the power dynamics. And I think it will help to build a sustainable movement. And coming from Afghanistan, unfortunately, where the women's situation is worse in the history of Afghanistan, I would feel the need to say that it's also important for Afghan women more than ever to have the mentorship support, because they are living under a repressive and cruel government, which has taken all the basic rights from them. And I think mentorship will contribute to amplify the voices and provide them with the guidance that they need. Everybody, I think, has to stand in solidarity with not only Afghan women, but women across the world who have been deprived of their basic rights, so that they can feel supported. They feel that there are people who can amplify their voices. Only then, I believe, we can create a social movement and bring social justice and equality in the societies that we live. That's my reflection. Thank you.
Thank you both for reflecting this. And I hear a lot about women's solidarity and how supporting each other or opening doors, as Minnie mentioned, can help us to amplify this impact and create a multiplier effect when we provide mentorship, because all the learnings that we provide or we share with one mentee, they go on and share this with others. And we also provide a lot of learning opportunities and spaces for the communities to share with each other and learn from each other. And I'm really glad that you mentioned, Farishta, about Afghan women, because the online mentorship we provide has been one of those kind of opportunities to be able to reach women in Afghanistan, because it has been super hard to implement any projects for women in the country since the crisis started. So, all right, with this, I would like to open the floor for the questions from our wonderful audience. And I know we have one question in the chat for now. And let me invite Fatima, if you'd like to ask your question, unmute yourself. So our wonderful panelists can reply that, and then we have around 10 to 15 minutes to ask any questions to the panelists before our second part of the session. Please, Fatima.
Hi, my name is Fatima. I work for I'm based in Brussels, and I work for a youth education center, and I'm currently trying to implement something like that in Brussels for teenagers. So I might be here for like very boring questions. I got everything that was said, was very inspiring and very much on my same vibe. I don't understand, however, technically, like concretely, someone mentioned, I think, yes, it was Maya who said that there was a woman who had this goal to apply for a scholarship in Australia, I think, and she got that, so you helped her. But like, how do you concretely, because I don't understand, I don't really understand mentee-mentor relationship. I've never had anything like that, so I really have no idea. So how does it work? Like for instance, I need guidance. I have like a lot of potential and everything, and how do you help me in concrete terms achieve that? So how do you decide, like, is there like an initial interview when the mentee says like, oh, I would like to do this? Or do you also, because like if someone comes with an objective, I think that's quite easy. But a lot of people, a lot of young people, like teenagers, don't really know what they want to do and what is their goal, and especially women, because sometimes they've never been asked like, what is that you want to do? So they never thought of it. A lot of girls especially grew up without like dreams, because they've never been asked what you want to do, what you would like to do. And especially if you're grown up in a very hierarchical, like, no, it's called very authoritative environment, be it in a state that is very, or like the family can be also. So you grew up like without knowing really who you are, what you want, etc. So could you please explain this to me, so I can help to understand what's going on later? Thank you. I hope my question was clear.
Yeah, thank you, Fatima, for that. Just a brief note about, so Wedu doesn't work with teenagers, so we work with women years 18 and older, but it doesn't mean that teenagers cannot get mentorship or anything. They can, and I'll let the panelists reflect on what kind of techniques they use to work with their mentees, especially when they don't come with clear goals.
Yeah, so I'd probably respond first. So, well, the first thing that we usually do would be establishing, if it's a feminist mentoring process, establishing that there are no hierarchies in the setup. So basic is, you know, sometimes when you come in a mentoring program wherein your mentor has achieved so much, it somehow tips the balance already, the balance of power. So mentors should ensure that the space is devoid of hierarchies. So maybe, you know, calling each other first name basis, breaking the ice, for example. It's one of the practical guide, which touches more about personal experiences more than, you know, professional and achievement, which also humanizes everyone in the room, that, you know, we have common unities here, common experiences, etc. Second, it's really difficult. It's actually a good question, because it's really difficult, especially for women leaders, especially emerging women leaders, those who have not yet defined their goals, etc., to actually have a clear goal and what they want in life. And I think that's really one of the biggest problems that we have. That's why there's a really huge gap in leadership, because women are not, you know, socialized to actually articulate their wants. They are not also socialized. They are socialized to actually follow in most instances. I'm not saying all. I'm not generalizing all women, but in many contexts, young women are socialized to follow. So sometimes even, you know, one of the common issues and challenges of women leaders, even for really, you know, women leaders who have achieved so much, is the imposter complex. So they have achieved so much, women have achieved so much, but they have not accepted that it's really because they're great at it and because that they are doing something right. Sometimes it is achievement is attributed to luck, or, you know, just they were there at the right opportunity, right time. So when we talk about this, the thing, what I usually do would be really just asking questions and listening to them and finding ways how to direct or guide them on the goals that is actually evident, but it's not but they can't figure it out by themselves. So in effect, they're actually they're actually saying what they want without them knowing it. Second, there is also what I call sometimes when I don't really get what they need to say, what they want to say, I actually mirror what they are saying. So I ask them, is this what you are trying to tell me? Because I might get it wrong. And then I might have a different culture context that might make my perception different from what she's actually saying or what she is not actually saying. And in Wedu, for example, that's always it's always somehow can be very possible because of the different countries that we come from, and we're always matched with a mentee who comes from a different country. And then I think one also is really when you try to listen first before you actually say your perspective. There's so many things that you discover that you actually don't know at first when you actually enter the room in a mentoring session. And I think the most important part before I let my other co-panelists respond was also that we don't know all the answers. The mentors don't know all the answers. And that is something that we should be honest at the onset. Discovering and clarifying objectives is a collaborative work. I hope I answered your questions, Fatima.
Yeah, thank you. It's clear. Thank you. I like the reflection on honesty, to be honest. Well, because like a lot of people are not very honest sometimes of like, oh, to say just like, oh, I really don't know this. Let's figure it out together. So I think it's good for like younger people to see that we older people, we don't have everything figured out because most of us don't. So thank you.
Thank you so much for Fatima for the question and Maya for reflecting on this. I guess another important part of this relationship between mentors and the mentees are trust and building trust. And that's kind of that's coming probably earlier in the beginning of the relationship, but that's something that continues throughout the relationship as well, because you have to continue building trust throughout the relationship as well in order to have kind of better impact and better environment for setting goals and setting pathways of how you can achieve that. We have a bit more time and another question by Irene. If I pronounce your name correctly, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Lida, I think she was having internet connections because she went off and on a bunch of times. So maybe we can wait for her, or we can go to Camila. She had a question also.
Yes, let's ask Camila before Irene comes back. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join this amazing meeting. My name is Camila. Originally, I'm from Azerbaijan, but I'm studying in England, majoring in educational leadership and management. That's why mentoring and leadership is a very close topic for me. I have a question to Ms. Afzali, actually, because you mentioned that you're majoring in education policy in global context. I also have a module on education policy, and I'm very curious about your opinion on, do you think that there is enough space for including mentorship relationship in education settings? Doesn't matter school setting or institutional settings. And if you believe that there is a space, how can we implement more mentorship relationship in educational context? So I'll be very glad if you answer this question.
Thank you, Camila, for asking this very interesting and important questions. I think there is definitely a space. All it requires is determination and collaboration of the writers and scholars in the education sector in particular to work on these. And especially, I will reflect on the community that I come from just to make it like better understand and clear. So from the society that I come from, it's a very patriarchal society. And most of the time what happens is that women, despite having all the capabilities and potentials, the society kind of like make them do not believe in their capabilities and potentials. The confidence that they have, sometimes it's taken from them by the society and by the people or the places where they study or where they work. So I think in these kind of like societies particularly, if there is a mentorship program or mentorship services, it will be very helpful for them to kind of have that reassurance by their mentors or by their, especially female mentors, that they have all those abilities, all those capabilities, and particularly in the young age, when they are experiencing such discrimination within a society, I think we cannot ignore the negative impact that it has. They have a lot of capabilities. There are a lot of like aspirations and dreams to contribute in a society, but just because the way they are treated, the way they are discriminated, it takes a lot from them. It takes a lot of their energy and demotivates them. So I think in any capacity, in any educational settings, there is a space, but it needs like courage, it needs motivation and dedication to bring it. And I am not only talking about like marginalized communities, but I think overall this is very crucial because we are aware of all the injustices and institutionalized discrimination that happens towards women. So I think at the global level also this is important. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you very much, Ms. Afzali. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for this wonderful discussion. And I'm going to invite Laila to answer the question that she got on the chat. And please share what's the question and share your reflections.
I think it is already answered by Maya. I think it's from Fatima about the guideline and everything. Referring. So I don't have much to say. I just want to add that the first few, when you are giving the guideline or when you are developing a mentorship relationship with your mentee, the first few meetings are very important. It helps to open up the relationship. It helps to set the goals. It helps both mentor and mentee to understand like what they are going to do and how to set up the mentorship journey. There are some mentorship journey which can be like finished like within 1 month. There are some journey which goes like for months to months because everyone has different needs of leadership skills and development. Everyone needs, it's a kind of like a tailor-made journey. So there is no hard and fast rules, but it's very important that in the first few meetings, the mentee and mentor both express themselves and be kind of like vulnerable to each other so that they can set the goals. And as you said that you were trying to build a similar kind of program or interested, I will say that it is very important to have a guideline for the mentors because it's not something that we just started talking and we can mentor the for all the leadership journey or everything. The mentor should have a guideline so that how Farista was saying about all the ethical consideration, all the important things that you need to consider. So there should be a guideline for mentor whenever you develop this kind of mentorship journey. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for this discussion. And one last question that I summarized based on a couple of notes in the chat. There are questions from Kenya and Nigeria regarding how to actually mentor young girls who are aspiring to become leaders but do not have any access to different forums or opportunities and who don't have much opportunities to talk to mentors. What could be done in this regard? perhaps Minnie or
Yeah,
Maya?
no, sorry, it just took me a second to unmute. I think that goes back to the opening doors thing. How can we empower change makers within different communities to start their own local mentoring programs that are more accessible to those from communities where they possibly don't have stable internet to access online mentoring, where there are restrictions within their communities in terms of how much time or where they can go, how they can access, the opportunities to access these mentoring programs. How can we make them, I guess, safe spaces for them to then speak about their issues? And I noticed that there were some questions around, especially around younger women facing violence. So creating safe spaces is really important. But that goes back to the thing of opening the doors to empower the mentees or change makers that each of us work with, or empowering them, reverse mentoring us to create those safe spaces within our communities, especially in countries like Krishna talked a lot about Afghanistan, but it happens everywhere, in every single country, developed to developing, where there's a lack of opportunities for certain communities to access mentorship. So building those locally grassroots accessible opportunities is very, very key. And I think it's whether it's you do it in your own community or you work with others to sort of train the trainer to become those change makers who can create that within their communities is very, very important. Something that I personally feel in mentorship is very, very important, because it is about enabling, empowering, equipping the other half of your relationship to take that forward in the most appropriate way and the most impactful, amplifying way within their communities.
Thank you so much, Minnie. And another aspect that I love about helping women from different disadvantaged backgrounds to get some opportunities is also peer mentoring, because sometimes there is not much access to external resources or external networks that could be very helpful. So it's always very helpful to tap into those internal resources and use peer mentoring as an experience to support each other with solidarity, with some guidance, and with some, other sources of information that each one in the community might have. And having said this, let's step into the second part of the meeting. And Mary, if you would like to come in, yes, please.
Sorry, just one thing. I have worked with mentoring and also worked with a lot of girls and women undergoing violence. And I always like to mentors refer to their own experience and share their own experience as a gift. If anything in my experience can help you, and they open doors. But of course, not everybody is trained or has the expertise to deal with such specific matters as gender violence. So I would always like to think mentoring as one of the tools that we need to use, but also making it super clear that there are a lot of professionals, there are a lot of guidelines, there are a lot of things that we need to consider while dealing with this. Because many times also it puts a lot of pressure on the mentors, or it puts a lot of pressure on their peers. And it's great to know that we also have to provide information, and we also have to provide training on how to address gender violence in the different contexts, in the different communities. But it's not one or the other, but it's rather thinking about how can we create all the enabling environment to deal with these topics. Just that, Lida.
Thank you so much, Mary. That was very helpful. Yes, Farishta, maybe very briefly, because we have to move on to the second part of the session today.
Yeah, thank you. Very briefly. I think it's also important to understand what are the needs of these mentees, like coming from different backgrounds. Sometimes they may have the resources available, but they don't have, let's say they have resources available online, but they don't have a laptop to access those resources. Like they don't have a means of transportation to get there to the organization where they receive the mentorship. So I think we understanding those complexities within the situation and how the support can be provided in best way to the mentees coming from the different backgrounds, I think is very important to take into consideration. And also this mentality of paying it forward. We don't have to always think of big initiatives. It can be very small initiative in our communities. Even if we are able to help 1 or 2 female mentees with their goal settings, later on they will also pay forward and they will support their own communities. So I think it's about the quality that matters. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Farishta, and thank you to Mini for reflecting in the chat as well. That's super important. And just to move on to the second part, because I would really love the audience, the participants, to experience some peer mentorship. We have a few questions prepared, and when I say we, it's the mentors and mentees who worked on these few questions that will help us to guide each other through some conversation, to reflect on our leadership journey. Of course, the 20 minutes we are going to use in the breakout rooms is not going to enough to get a full peer mentorship experience, but it will give you some idea of what kind of questions could be asked in this relationship and how you can reflect on this, and also how you can provide some sort of feedback and guidance to the others in your peer group to reflect on their journeys as well. So I invite you to this group to spend the first couple of minutes or so to just introduce yourself in the group so you get to know each other. If there was more time, we would ideally spend more time on building trust and getting to know each other better for this experience, but we don't. And also this is kind of an experience, but also an exercise. And then you will spend the rest of the time asking these 4 questions that we will share in the chat if we haven't already. Yes, there you go. Jofen shared the questions. So we have these 4 questions. You can ask each other, think through them, reflect on those. You don't have to go through all of those questions. You can also choose 1 or 2, whatever works better for you, and share some ideas and share your journeys regarding those questions. So having said this, if there are any questions, please unmute yourself and ask these questions. If not, I'll ask Mary to put us into the breakout rooms.
Perfect.
Yes, and we'll probably have around a bit less than 20 minutes because of time. So we have time to get back.
So
yes.
I've already opened the breakout rooms. You should be directed, and if not, you can always look for the option. If you go to all the controls down, or if you press the 3 dots, you'll see breakout rooms, and then you'll be invited to join a specific breakout room. Let's see, I see people that are going. Farishta, could you find it? Okay. Lida, are you joining a group?
I think I'll jump to different groups to kind of follow the conversation going as well. This is a peer mentoring experience, so we'll let the participants interact with each other.
Okay. And let's see, Christine, Fatima, Savan, do you need any help?
First, in the conversations with people in a group, and they just were so open-hearted to share answers to the questions. So I just want to again set appreciation to my group, to Fatima, to Jofen, to Jason, and to Hira. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Camila. That's wonderful to hear. And perhaps one more person can share any feedback from their group. And I know the time was short and you wish you had more kind of conversation. But yes, Maria, did you unmute yourself?
Hey,
Yes, Fatima?
am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was having technical issues when we were in the group. So was I was thrilled to hear from everyone, like their experiences. I thought at first I was the only one having this kind of issues, challenges of being a mentor and still wanting to be a mentee and still needing a mentor at some point. So I am really honored and glad to be here because the discussion was really amazing, and it gives me the insight of what being a true mentor is. Thank you very much, you all.
Thank you so much, Fatima. It was very interesting to hear, and it was an idea that was mentioned by a few people during the discussion as well, how if you're a mentee, it doesn't mean you cannot be a mentor, or if you're a mentor, you also need another mentor. So just to summarize, everyone needs a mentor, right? And having mentioned this, and while we have to close our event today, we have just 4 minutes left. And many people asked about how to become a mentor and what are the opportunities. At Wedu, we invite anyone who would like to become a mentor to do so. You can visit our website. And I shared the link previously as well, but I can share that link again if you didn't see that, because that was shared in the plenary, in fact. So you can fill in the brief application. It's a very easy process and you can become a mentor. Our mentees are based in Asia, particularly South Asia and Southeast Asia. That's where we geographically work, but partners, the mentors can come from anywhere in the world. You can also email me, as I'm the Global Mentorship Programme Manager at Wedu, if you would like to become a mentor, and I'll share the resources and the link with you as well. And there are also different opportunities linked to this. You can be part of the bigger community, participate different discussions and learning opportunities together with other mentors and the mentee groups. Yes, you have a question, Adrienne.
Yes, could you please share the link again, because I may have missed it, and it would be good to see the link. Thank you very much.
Sure. This is the link where you can, this is our website, and specifically the link where you can see become a mentor button and where you can submit your application. Feel free to get in touch with me as well if you have any questions or ideas of collaboration. And yes, I'll give the floor to Mary to close the event then.
Okay, thank you. I love the energy here. I love mentoring. I said so, and I love how generous everyone was to share today. From Catalyst, we want to thank you very much for organizing and hosting the session. It was amazing to be able to know more about what Wedu does, have concrete experiences, and also enjoy all the participants, their questions, super interesting. And I just have a few things I need to share. First of all, is regarding Catalyst. So we're currently hosting the Catalyst 2030 Awards in a few months, and the nominations are open. Catalyst mission is to advance social entrepreneurs across the world in a collaborative and co-creative mindset to be able to collaborate to achieve the SDGs by 2030. And in the awards, we're recognizing all those government officers, all those organizations, or those private organizations as well that are contributing to this advance. So if you'd like to nominate someone, please do. Also, we've created with some Catalyst 2030 members, what's the Catalyst market. There you'll find amazing, amazing products that are found in all over the world, done by social entrepreneurs, really, really rooted in the grassroots communities. So feel free to jump in and see what's happening. And also there's been a business commitment badge that you can get if you sign the business commitment pledge. So these are some of the things that are happening. You can also join Catalyst 2030. As I was mentioning, we are a global movement of social entrepreneurs and innovators working collaboratively with communities, governments, businesses, and others to change systems and advance the SDG through collective action and bold new strategies. We're hosting an informative session this week, so I'll paste that information in the chat in case you want to join. And of course, feel free to share anything about the Catalyzing Change Week 2023 in your social media, include the hashtags so we can really amplify our voices. As someone would say, that's all, folks. Thank you for being here. And let me, before leaving, look at the session here. If you want to learn more about Catalyst, please join our session. It's going to be amazing. There you have the link to register directly, and please become a mentor. It's amazing. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a lovely day or evening, whatever you have.